Greetings, everybody. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord, Episode 13, Pledged Axe, Shield, and Bow. So, since last stream, Mount and Blade Bannerlord has had somewhat of an update, meaning that the mod that I used to raffle off characters got broken. Most of the update, as far as I can tell, is like multiplayer changes. There are some general changes, adding some new armor in and balancing horses and the like. The full patch notes, of course, can be found on Steam. All right, so let's jump back in to Rathor. It's going to tell me that I have a module mismatch because the detailed character creation mod has been disabled. All right. To recap last stream, we worked as a mercenary, conquering some of the enemies of Sturgia. We signed on, of course, with Sturgia, as we are Sturgian. And then we have reinvested that money into owning businesses. So most recently, we have purchased some workshops. So we own 4 workshops and a caravan, hoping to offset our army costs. Currently, as you can see, the priority is work as a contracted mercenary. And at some point, we might give up mercenary life for something else. Of being a vassal or trying to be our own lord. But there's a lot of work to do before that is even remotely possible. All right. I think in a short time here, we should start to see some profit out of the workshops we've recently purchased, I hope. Another thing that we could do in order to raise profits is to go shopping for the industries that we own. So, for instance, in Varchag now that I own multiple tanneries, I can buy leathers and drop them off at or buy, raw goods and drop them off to lower the price of supply. So that they turn a greater profit. Taking a look at Valandia versus Sturgia, here are the clans. Am I? Yeah, I'm represented here. My flag, obviously, very unique in its tiny little dog. The priorities that we could work on, I could recruit a new follower. So taking a look at the clan tier that we've got, I'm very solidly clan tier 3. It would be great if I kept working on clan tiers, but that's kind of up to all of you. But I do have space for another companion. However, I will not be able to rename that companion as far as I can change my own name, but I can't change their names. Yes, that's, I suppose, always been the case. So unless I get like a new kid, I won't be able to rename anyone as a result of the change of the mods. So we're up here, spending what money that we had, purchasing as much property as we could. And I would say at this point, we are good to rally back to the battlefront with near max troops and see about capturing and conquering enemy Valandian lords. Oh, here's Lex party. So right now it looks like people are rallying to Nevenyansk. It was just recently under siege and there is a large army there. Or no, it's really not large, but there is an army there. So I am going to make a poll. Oh, let's not run into a 700-person army. That would be really bad. I'd like to fight Lukind, but because Lukind is so close to that giant army, if I engage Lukind, the giant army comes with as well. There are 2 engineers that I favorited, but it really depends on whether we want an engineer or not. So if we take a look at the entire encyclopedia of heroes, and then we go alive and also wanderer, these are all the people that we could recruit. The ones that say of the Yodaving, obviously already are part of our clan. So it's the ones without the Yodaving. So Chaos Engine, Mino, Taisato, you know, they're not going to be available. And we've also we're trying to find companions that have psychological traits that sort of match our own, but also ones that are capable, because we don't want useless companions. So like this guy being generous, daring, and merciful, and the sort of yellow is good, red is bad. So he is impulsive instead of calculating, but like these don't really play a role for your companions, unlike the original game where your companions would fight with one another and really harm morale. That just isn't the case here. Hey Glitch, thank you for the bits, and welcome. Alright, I'm just helping to squash some looters. I don't even want them as prisoner because they're not worth much. I'll take their random clothing and move on. So I'm looking for vulnerabilities in Valandia. Oh, like this guy who's just tucked back into his castle. What a wuss. Because I don't have the force to take on a castle, and I don't have the force to take on a town, so I'm probably going to make my money as a mercenary just capturing lords and stealing the loot of their armies. Now, there's other hostile actions I could take, like raiding villages, and that could yield some profit depending on the prosperity of the villages that I raid, but it is quite an evil action. So another important thing to point out, let me go to myself. Where's the best way to do that? So my traits right now is I'm daring, and if I start doing underhanded things like raiding villages, well, that's gonna change my traits, and maybe not for the better. So it really depends on what you guys think I should do. So how or should I stay honorable, or should I raid villages? The reason I ask this question is I am having a hard time paying for the army that I have. The mercenary contract that I have isn't really fronting the bill all that well. As you can see, my expected daily wages is really bad. Oh, but a lot of Valandians just got taken prisoner, which is a good news. And here we have Lukind. So Lukind is merciful, daring, and honest, with a lot of skills, and we are going to fight him. And Andrew, thank you for the resub. Are we going to see the Kingdom of Yoda? You know, I am probably going to leave it to all of you, to be honest. I will let you all decide whether or not I aim to become a sovereign or I stay happily
Everyone! Soldiers!
as just a vassal of Sturgia.
Troops!
Maybe a powerful vassal of Sturgia, but, you know,
Troops!
not one that has, you know, eyes for lordship. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change some of these stances that I have. Let's try to actually take this hill. Hey, Tie-Dye, welcome. Solo raid. Yeah, that's, in my book, that's just a host, right? More or less.
Rider! Soldiers!
But, welcome nonetheless.
Forward! Cavalry!
Let's put cavalry in a skein.
Skein formation!
So that they are in a wedge. Flying V.
Forward!
Mighty Ducks.
Troops!
And then the infantry
Forward!
down below
Form a shield wall!
in a shield wall.
Move! Troops! Move!
I am trying to make good use of being a tactician. In the previous fight... Ow, I just got shot. In the previous fights, I've basically just been a brute, telling everybody to charge wildly and not really controlling my troops all that much. So I am going to do better if I can.
Soldiers! Dismount!
I'm going to tell him to get off his horse. You know, I probably shouldn't have put my infantry into shield walls until they got into position, because they're very slow. Well, that's okay. Alright, let's see if I can't bait them out a little bit. Sometimes you can do... Ooh, shot him in the head. Sometimes you can do a false charge like this and encourage them to go attack.
Horseman charge!
And it has worked, except for I think they turned around. So they did their own false charge.
Riders! Forward!
And I'm going to tell my riders to reset, because I don't want my riders going straight into their infantry that possibly have spears or whatnot.
Horsemen, give them hell!
Avalandians. Oh! Cut off your head. Alright, let's try to take out as many Valandian knights as I can. We might be a general, but I ain't no wuss. The cavalry that are harassing my bowmen probably need to be focused upon, because bows are particularly bad against cavalry. They don't have the armor or the good melee weapons to defend against shock troops. I just killed that. No, the horse is still alive. Quit poking people with your little sticks. Use a real weapon, like this billhook axe. Alright, the battle is definitely in our favor. I just told my infantry to go... I feel like the game is a little louder today. I mean, I don't know how that's possible. But yeah, my infantry just meat grinded them hard. And there's like a few bowmen left.
Attack!
I won this weapon. I am not going to be smithing at all, ever. Smithing, last I checked, is incredibly imbalanced, and I just don't want God mode weapons, so I won't be touching smithing at all. Well, I have one person that got wounded, and we killed 45 and got 19 wounded. Using tactics works pretty dang well. Alright, and it looks like you guys want me to stay honorable, so I'm down with that. I am going to make the decision to free this guy. Oh, look at his, like, cloudy eye. He's got a really cool scar. And I'm freeing him because he's merciful, daring, and honest. And that's the type of person that I would like working for me in the future. It also raises my, my charm. And... take in their prisoners, though. Ooh, look at that. Look at that tier 6 horse armor. Hello. That is not bad. Of course, I'm taking everything else, too. Yeah, crafting stuff in vanilla does take eons and eons to grind for the skill. But then once you get there, it's a way to essentially print money and have weapons that just are leagues better than anything anyone else has, which becomes a bit of a problem. How should I use the free focus point on Knave? So, Knave here is one-handed and bow. He could maybe use a control focus point for the bow skill. His riding is near his learning limit. He is a tactician and a leader. Both could use focus points. And then if he's a leader and a tactician, he could also use a focus point in stewardship. So, int, social, cunning, all of them. Maybe not vigor, but pretty much all the others could be pretty important. And even vigor could be important, getting his weapon skill higher. Valandians got freed because of a peace declaration, but we're not at peace with Valandia. So I think Valandia, and I should have checked this already, but I think Valandia was at war with someone else and just made peace with that someone else. Which means that a lot of their lords that were previously imprisoned just got freed. So Valandia is going to be a more difficult faction to fight. Alright, Tavern District and Ransom. And then Trade. Taking a look at the gear that I have to make sure that anything that is worth keeping I use. Mino has a 4-sword. Taisato has a 3. Okay, you're going to get a cav mace. It's better. Actually, get an axe. Although you look like an Imperial. But now, you have a ridiculous amount of axes. Oh my lord. So he has axe, 7x. Okay. Taisato, a man of axes. Knight Knave, or Knave, rather. You have a tier 4 axe as well. I would like to eventually equip all my guys with axes so that they're all axemen. And then in terms of the... Okay, there's no shields that are worth anything. No armor that is worth anything. My old horse armor is going to be much better than other people's armor, so I will switch that up. Give it to Mino, I suppose, just picked randomly. And let's sell everything else. 6k. So that helps to fund my army a bit longer. So we're almost up to 10k. It's actually until my workshops start turning a better profit, because right now they're really not. I kind of have to fight to support the army that I have. So it looks like you guys want control for Knave's skill. I don't know if Knave's here, but if he was, I would allow him to overrule. But I think that's a pretty good choice there. Alright, so let's go over to Knave. And give you Bow. Bow focus point. Alright, question for all of you. I have more of the Dragon Banner quest to do. I could also go hunting as a mercenary. So what should my priority be? It could be fight as a mercenary. It could be attempt to become a vassal. Pursue the Dragon Banner questline. What else? Raise reputation with honorable lords for future allies, or other viewer suggestions. I think that's a pretty good list. I'm going to have you all vote on what do you think is most important for me to do. Fight as a mercenary, attempt to become a vassal, pursue the Dragon Banner questline, raise reputation with honorable lords. So I'll explain a little of these. Fighting as a mercenary obviously just makes me money. And with the money, I might be able to improve our gear. And gear definitely helps you survive. Becoming a vassal means that I would have a lord. Ragnvad, the prince, king, whatever he is, Ragnvad of the Sturgians, would become my king. I would not get a mercenary contract, and instead, there is a possibility that territory that was won in combat would be offered to me, heavily influenced by influence. So, as my influence went up, the likelihood of me being awarded territory goes up. So, if Sturgia is doing well, I do well. If Sturgia is doing poorly, I'm doing poorly. That kind of deal. Becoming a vassal doesn't necessarily mean that I can't become king at a later date, but what it does mean is that if I leave if I leave as a vassal of Sturgia, I could burn a lot of bridges on my way out, especially with Rhadamant, but possibly with others as well. Pursuing the Dragon Banner questline, I honestly don't know how far that questline goes. The last time I played Mountain Blade 2, that questline did terminate. It wasn't finished. I'm not sure if it's finished yet, or if it is finished, if it's even worth doing. I don't know those things. Oh, you are so dead. Malgun just walked into a mega army. Jeez, that was dumb. Look at the balance of power at the top of the screen. Holy heck. It ain't balanced. Raising reputation with honorable lords for future allies. So, if I do become a king, if I do proclaim myself a king of something and form my own kingdom, I can have my companions fight as their own leaders of their own armies, but that's only going to get me so far. What's far more important is that I convince other vassals of other kingdoms to befriend them so that when I become a king, I can convince them to join me. Because without vassals, I personally can control, a handful of men. Maybe 100 or 200 or something like that. But that's not enough to take on a town. That's not enough to defend my borders. It's just not enough. So, working towards friendships for the future can be a really powerful tool, because if I at any point decide, you know what, I want to be king, and I have a lot of people that would support that claim, and they join me, the size of my kingdom's army goes from whatever amount of troops that I personally have and fund to every additional vassal in their armies get added in. So possibly hundreds of additional troops and the like. So it's a useful option. It might be too soon to go down that route, but I just want to explain it. I guess there's one other thing that didn't make this list, which is to pursue a wife. So the game allows you to marry, and it actually can be a pretty powerful tool to align yourself with a powerful family. So if I married someone who belonged to a clan, that clan would be far more likely to join me if I ever became king, and whoever is the head of that clan, their entire lineage joins as well. So if you marry someone, who has like 4 children, and the child has 3 brothers or whatever, all 3 brothers are, as long as they're alive, are likely to join you if they're of fighting age as their vassals when you form your own kingdom. So it can be a very powerful tool to turn a decent amount of people over to your side with very little work. Well, okay, there is a little work involved, because you have to, court someone or whatever. Alright. So it looks like you all want me to attempt to become a vassal. Got it. And another one, I guess, would be to hunt for another companion. Before I become a vassal, should I pursue marriage or hunt for a companion? Because I left those options off the poll, having not thought of them in time. You can just quickly vote on that if you think it's a good idea for me to pit stop. Man, my workshop income is real bad. He wanted me to train his troops, I think. But I don't have Roman in my army for that. That's okay. Hey, Ekrund. Oh, hello. Come back. Oh, you popped into a castle. Why do you all keep doing that? And it's a castle with 275 defenders. You know, that's just quitter action. No, don't. Oh, boy. And I'm going to have to run from them, because that's 550 men that would smush me in an instant. Oh, but you have nowhere to run. No, sir. I will catch you. A Morkan. Vassal of Valandia who is close-fisted but honest. Surrender or die. And before that, cheers Tatermod and Replicator Filth for resubbing in bits. Is attacking caravans an appropriate thing for my character to do? Likely not. Attacking caravans and raiding villages as a mercenary is probably not necessary to do.
Troops! Follow me!
There is a possibility of
Troops! Loose formation!
it being worth it if I'm trying to wear down
Soldiers!
the economy of my enemy and impoverish their cities.
Move!
Then yeah, I mean, there's an isolated situation where, like, raiding a village might make the most sense.
Forward! Cavalry! Form a skein! Move!
Alright, this army here is not very big. Alright, so let me ask one more question. What should I do before becoming a vassal? Get married, find a companion, or both. A companion is not someone, like, I know what it sounds like, but it's someone to join me in combat, not, yeah, not like a Firefly companion. Alright, they are making virtually no attempt to protect their troops from arrows. So I am absolutely okay with this. Ooh, got you in the chest. I like how even if I connect to a shield, it's like, yeah, we'll give it to you. Oh, you cheeky little banner knight, get back here. Damn, your armor's... I am barely... I swung and hit him for like 16. His armor was ridiculous. Oh, is that her? Is that the their lord? I think it is. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ow, 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 ow. I have regrets.
Cavalry! Charge!
Here, you want to follow me? Good luck. Into the meat grinder of my axeman. Have fun with that. Alright, I don't know where their lord went, but I can kill some of their banner knights. Are there any mods? There are not. It would be in the About command if there were. If you read the About command, you'll see...
Everyone attack!
Alright, there are 10 bowmen left. Or crossbowmen in this case. Alright. Wow, not a single wounded. I mean, I got wounded, but we did pretty well. And a Morkan. You are close-fisted. So you know what? If you're close-fisted, you'll have to pay for your freedom. That's just how this works. Didn't get much in the way of armor worth anything, but that's okay. And let's pop over to Carbance so that I can ransom. Yeah, back up, Ekerand. You don't want any of this. Petrable, thank you for the bits. It looks like you guys is going to want me to do both. Pursue a wife and find a companion. Alright, Tavern District. 5.6k ransom. That works for me. And 4-axe. Nope. I'm mostly looking for level 5 weapons now, as all of my followers have at least level 4 weapons. And nobody needs these mail mittens. Or cape. Or any of this junk. It's all junk. Alright, looking good. I don't need sheep either. You know what? I also don't need flax. You don't really eat flax, do you? Okay, cool. Is there any reason not to upgrade my troops? Yes. I went into great detail last stream about this, but the TLDR is when any troop within their sector or whatever, how to explain this? So, like, let's say I wanted these Sturgian hardened brigands to level up, or better yet, these Sturgian spearmen. One of them can level up now, but any experience that any of these spearmen get add to a pool, and it pools together. So, if I right now leveled up this Sturgian spearman, I would then have 3 left. If I waited for all the spearmen to accumulate experience, I could level them up all together at the same time, and it's a lot faster of a way to level up a large group. So it's best to level up and the entire stack when the entire stack is maxed, generally speaking. Alright, we are searching for a companion. Yeah, very interesting to know. So yeah, if I wanted all of the Sturgian spearmen to level up, it'd be faster if I level them up once they all can, rather than one at a time. But this woodsman, for instance, is the only one left in his stack, so I'll level him up. Yeah, it's an odd meta, but individual units don't have experience. Their unit type has experience. So you're waiting for the unit type to max out for every person in the unit. Alright, so I'm going to be looking for a companion. So let's go to Heroes, Alive, Wanderers. I could use, I don't necessarily need an engineer, but I could use one. I don't see myself going into any fights that I absolutely need engineering anytime soon. So the engineers here would be Deal the engineer. He's honest, daring, and impulsive. Should I recruit an engineer or just the best available companion? I'll ask you for just a minute here. So he doesn't have traits that are particularly terrible. Let's look at the other one. So that was Diul, or whatever his name is. Garatops, the scholar, is close-fisted and merciful. And I think those might be the only 2 engineers. Yeah, those are the only 2 engineers right now. And then if we look at, like, who the next best person might be, that is a really good question. But doesn't look like it's going to be... I'm going to require an answer. This outcast, he's devious. This guy is basically skillless, but he does have positive personality traits. All right, looks like an engineer. So, which engineer? Taking a look, there is Deal or Garatops. So Deal here has 91 handed, 120 crossbow, and 80 engineering. He is honest, daring, and impulsive. He's Azurai, 28 years old, and he was last seen at Pencanak, which is close by. And then Garatops is 31. He is close-fisted and merciful. 70 throwing, 70 one-handed, 70 athletics, 60 engineering. He was also seen at Pencanak. I think no matter who we're going with, I ought to head to Pencanak, because they're both there. So I'll give you until I ride up on Pencanak to make this choice. Don't forget that it can donate armor to level them up. Indeed. I do have that trait. Alright, I normally don't actually read the dialogue that they speak to me, but I will this time, just to give you an idea of the flavor behind the characters. Well now, stranger, peace to you. What is your name? My name is Rathor, sir. Tell me about yourself. I'll tell you my story. I suppose it's a fine lesson in how destiny makes mock of our intentions. My father was a judge, and I had intended to study the legal rulings of the past so I could follow in his footsteps. But when I went to study, my master told me that only two kinds of scholars were needed these days. Those who knew how to build and knock down walls, and those who knew how to stem the epidemics that spread from unburied bodies. I had no talent for medicine, it turned out, so I chose to be an engineer. I had one final flight of folly. A local academy was crumbling, so I submitted a sketch for a new one to the Emir. He laughed and told me to come back with a schematic of siege engines. So, go on, ask me how thick a mangonel's struts must be to withstand the torsion to throw a 5 Istar ball. Ask me how heavy a ram's head must be compared to its total weight, so that it does not rebound from the gate and strike the men who wield it. I never imagined I would know such things when I dreamed of making men's lives better through the dispensing of justice. Well, someday there may be peace and money to build again. Unfortunately, I found that siege work pays irregularly. My contracts were usually honored if the city falls and if is looted. But if dysentery breaks out in the siege camp and the army must march away, well, you may find it that you submit your receipts in vain. You could say, perhaps, that I am between jobs right now. So if by any chance you are looking to hire, I am open to discussion. Sure. Very well. 350. I will settle up. He has now joined the party. So that is another companion that I am going to have to level up and give gear to, because I think he came pretty naked. That might be a good sword, but I have no idea. Tamale, thank you for the sub. Alright, so let's see. Deal the engineer. Yeah, it's not a terrible sword. He doesn't even have a horse. So let me at least buy him one. And then I think what I will do is aim to... You can't ride anything? Yeah, I guess you have a riding skill of, like, 0. So, congrats. You will be riding my mule. Alright. 0 axes, he needs more axes. You're not wrong. So, the next step is about... marriage, right? Oh, boy. There is a long list. Let's try to find someone Valandian. Because likely... Oh, not Valandian. Sturgian. I don't know what I was thinking. Likely we are going to want to marry into a Sturgian family to pull... So if I do become a Sturgian vassal, and then turn on Sturgia to declare myself a king, Sturgia is going to be gunning for me. So if I can befriend Sturgians to come to my side, it will offer me at least some protection from the overwhelming number of Sturgian nobles that want me dead. Which means it's probably in my best interest to marry into Sturgia. Who wants to marry a mercenary? Yeah, that's true. And I should also select not married. So there is... I might need to become a vassal first. It really depends. But this is the dating pool, if you will. So let's just look at them so that we can figure if any of them are going to be worth pursuing. So things to consider is the clan. So for instance, this clan is Rhadamant. He's the leader. So it wouldn't really work, would it? Because, you know, I'm not going to be marrying the king's daughter. Because, you know, it's not like he's going to ever join me. Kuloving. Kuloving, his leader is Olek, and he's got several children and one settlement. He's relatively poor. And she is calculating, cruel, daring, honest, and close-fisted with a whole lot of skills. She's 23. Wow, that's a lot of skills for 23-year-old. My goodness. This one's dead. So, hold on. Alive only, please? Like, she's 74, yeah. Okay, so alive only. There's Idrun. So she is generous and merciful. She's also Kuloving, so a sister of the last one. And not very skilled, but charming and kind of a trader. Trade, trade, that kind of trade, not traitor. There's a possibility there. I'll star. All right, Lilaza. I don't, whatever that is. Gundaroving. So another poor clan with a whole lot of members. But they own a ton of stuff. They own Varchek and Balgard. She is 24 with very few skills. Both this person and the last person could run their own like trader caravans, but that's probably all they could do. Here's a 19-year-old in the same clan as the last one. Oh no, this one is in the clan of Rhadamant. Never mind. Let me unstar you. Because I am not marrying into Rhadamant. You are Rhadamant's kid. Yeah. Or some relative. Luda. Nope. Malanka. Okay, so here's another potential trade person who is Vashorki's someone, daughter, or whatever. Siga? So Siga is 43, probably not childbearing at that point, if we want children, so I'm going to ignore her. Vala, close-fisted and cruel, so let's skip. You are cruel as well. Not a lot. You have, like, no traits. You're very young. But I guess my character technically is very young, too. And you are, I guess, a potential. And then last but not least, Zalata, impulsive, generous, and all I do the list as well. So, all in all, there's really only, like, 4 people that I would consider. Because most of these guys are directly within the king's lineage. And, or Rhadamant's lineage. So, that is the full list. Let's go ahead and try to find Rhadamant himself. Last seen there, Pendryac. So he is just north of me by not that much. Because we want to sign on as a vassal. And then perhaps try to get married to one of the noble daughters. One of the shield maidens. So, current priority here, let me update. Become a vassal of Sturgia. Awesome. Well, I don't see Rhadamant. Let me check again. Carbanth. Okay, somehow we, like, walked right past one another. Here he is. Grand Prince Rhadamant. Alright, my lord, I wish to become more than a mercenary. Is there a way I could pledge myself as a vassal? You are known as a brave warrior and a fine leader of men, Rathor. I shall be pleased to accept your sword in my service if you're ready to swear homage to me. Should we become a vassal of Sturgia? I'm just going to double check. My guess is the answer is yes, but I could definitely become a vassal of any culture. You're not necessarily required to become a vassal of your own native culture. But I'll ask for a minute just to confirm. And a little background of the game that I covered last stream, which was essentially a lot of the empires fractured, and it's a lot of people kind of blame Rhadamant when he was a child for being greedy. So he's grown up since then, but he was kind of a Joffrey as a kid, maybe. All right, it looks like the Yays are gonna win here. So let's do it. One of the big advantages of becoming a vassal is the potential to own territory, and then to improve upon that territory so that it makes even more money. Good, then repeat the words of the oath with me. I swear homage to you as lawful king of the Sturgians. You are the shield of our people against the wolves of the forest and the steppes and the sea. So that's obviously Botanians, Khuzait, and Valandian. I give you my word and bond to stand by your banner in battle so long as my breath remains, and to uphold your rights under the laws of the Sturgians and the rights of your kin, and to avenge their blood as though it was my own. In exchange for your loyalty, I offer you the command of some of my best men, and in recognition of your worth, let me present you with a gift which I hope will serve you well on the battlefield. Alright, so he's giving me some men that I don't have space for, so I'm going to let some of my own go. Because they are better men than I currently have. Some of them, that is. So you're what, tier 4? Let's give up a tier 3 and another tier 3. And then he gave me a two-handed axe. The Avalanche. I like it. It is worth a whole lot of money, isn't it? I accept you as my sworn follower. You shall have the warrior's due, the warmth of my hearthfire, and the bread of my fields, and the gold of your valor. I shall uphold your rights under the law of the Sturgians and avenge your blood if you fall. You have done a wise thing, Rathor. Serve me well, and I promise you will rise. I have great hopes for you. I know you shall prove yourself worthy, and I must leave now. All right, question. Should I work to raise my influence or go get married? And I'll explain what influence is for a bit. So, as you conquer enemy leaders, as you capture castles, your influence goes up as a vassal. So if you take a look at the Kingdom tab here, we can see the clans and their influence. So Rhadamant's influence is 1279, and here I am down at 29. And the way that your influence works is you can kind of think of it as political currency. So when the Sturgians capture a castle, influential leaders are more likely to get voted on, so that the more influence that you have, the more likely it is for you to be selected for new territories. Because ultimately, the king decides on the fiefs. So if we take a look here, if Sturgia conquered a castle, it would likely go to Vezoving or Kluvoving, because they have one fief each, and they're both quite influential. I am way down here, where I have no fiefs. So, given that I have no fiefs, I'm also likely to to be granted one, as a result of the fact that I have none. But I could be granted something that doesn't generate money or whatever. Now, as a mercenary, I was building up influence, but I was losing it constantly, because mercenaries don't get to keep their influence. But now that I am a full-fledged vassal, the influence starts to matter a whole bit more. And then I am also subject to their policies. So Sturgia has the policy of law speakers. I have low charm, so I lose influence per day because I am not charming. And then the influence cost of proposing settlement annexation is reduced for the ruler clan. So Rhadamant himself can propose settlement annexation more inexpensively than the rest of us, and there's a lot of other policies that can be selected that hasn't been. But when policies are proposed, like I could propose that if I had 100 influence, that we enact Senate, for instance. Or I could propose that we abolish law speakers, because I'm not very charming. But all of this costs influence. So influence is a very important currency for diplomacy and changing your standing within the clan that you're in. And kind of the way to build it up is to conquer and quest and the like. You've been watching Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord, which originally streamed live on Twitch June 2nd. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you'd like to catch a live stream, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams, as well as my schedule for YouTube as well. If you'd like to join my gaming community, Rhadamant.com also has a link to Discord, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel. I'll catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, fellow Sturgians.